He's been waiting long enough. He's Rashad Jennings. He is a Giants running back. He is coming off the greatest four-game stretch of his career. Thank you, Rashad. Nice to see you. You look great. Nice to see you in Los Angeles. How are you?
I'm good. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's just I want to start before you were a pro athlete, all right? I'm reading about you last night, and I read that you were considered the chubby kid with asthma or the chubby kid with glasses. Is this true?
This is a true fact. It wasn't considered. That's exactly what I was.
You weren't a great athlete when you were little.
Not at all. Little snot-nosed, overweight, chubby kid, glasses, asthma. I had a .6 GPA average at one point in time. And then at one time I was 275, fifth string running back in high school football.
All right. So then everything I read is accurate, which is so you didn't play in high school until the final game of your junior year when four guys in front of you got hurt. And that's how you got on the field?
That's how I got my first shot. Yep.
And there was someone there scouting a different player, and he came and talked to you and asked you about your grades, and that's when you dropped the .6 GPA bomb on him.
Yeah.
And so how does this happen? How do you go from overweight, asthmatic, yeah, people deal with, I understand that, but overweight, not a good student, buried on the depth chart, to scholarship college athlete in such a short period of time?
It took a lot of sacrifice. I transferred to a private school. I had both of my brothers actually go to this private school and were the coaches there for free to help partially pay for tuition. My parents took a loan to cover the rest. Transferred, I repeated my junior year. I took 9 homeschool classes on top of 9 summer school classes with the regular course classes. And, I dedicated, sacrificed a lot. I stopped blaming other people. I took ownership and responsibility. And, obviously I had people believe in me before I ever knew who I was. And so, I'm always grateful for that. And, I was just a little kid, man, that just like anybody else. Had a reading comprehension deficit. It took me longer to read. I was bullied, a lot of little things that was keeping me away from truly focusing on academics and becoming the best student and player that I could. So when I got a fresh start, I just took advantage of it.
It's amazing. Rashad Jennings, Giants running back, he had as many yards in the final 4 games of the season as you did in the first 12. You had a fantastic finish to the season. We'll talk more about that in a moment. So when you go through that, you're bullied, you're almost flunking out of school, you're buried on the depth chart. Nothing is really going to feel like real adversity after you overcome that in your, once you get to the professional field. A lot of people would look at being a late 7th-round draft pick as a slight. I wonder for you if it was just like, in the last 5 years, I went from buried on my high school depth chart to they are saying my name at the NFL draft, and I have a shot at making this my profession.
Yeah, that's how I took it. This playing this game is not promised. It's not an obligation. It's a privilege to do that. And I knew if my name got called or if I just had an opportunity through free agency, that's all it was an opportunity. And, when I got selected in 2009 the Jacksonville Jaguars, I took full advantage of it. I actually had an opportunity to live with Maurice Jones-Drew, who was a starter at the time, and during the offseason, him and Fred Taylor, both.
Oh, of course.
So I trained with them, learned a lot, and took advantage of it. And I learned how to become a pro. There's a fine difference between an NFL player and a pro.
Right.
And over the years, I've definitely become a pro, and I learned how to take care of my body, do the little things, detail to the work, your craft, how to take care of your stuff off the field, as well as on the field. Those all encompass to go into year 8 now.
And it's paid off. When I was reading about you last night, I think your first signing bonus would have got you about a brand new Toyota Camry. And your most recent contract, your first real big contract, I think had $3 million guaranteed in it. The day you sign that, what's that feeling like?
It's humbling, very humbling. It's something that you've been wanting to do since you were 6 years old. And for me, I've always it just sounds kind of weird, but I always lived life with the idea of death on my mind. And so, like right now during the off season, I'm down in I train in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I sat with my financial advisors trying to structure a will, structuring a trust. And because I've ran into a few more dollars, I was able to buy my parents a home. But now my focus is really on setting generational wealth and inside of a trust and teaching my kids and kids, which I don't have kids now, but like just futuristic, how to set things up down the road.
You say you've always lived like, thinking about death. Was there a lot of death in your life when you were young? Did you have friends or family, or it's just
Not
how you are?
Yeah, it's just something that we all can't hide from, and it's real, and it happens every day, and it's going to happen to all of us at some point in time. And I don't think that's a part of the conversation enough. Like as in, like in not a dramatic way, but as a matter of fact, that's a part of life. What happens after, And I think the people that I've look up to are those who still lead their families, still lead from the grave, and leave a legacy that's much bigger than yourself.
Rashad Jennings, Giants running back. I do want to talk about the Giants and your season this last year, how it ended. I'm just seeing this now. Our great producers are bringing it to me. You posted something on Instagram, and you were here when I was talking about what happened at the All-Star game. You heard, my take on that. You posted a picture of you with a bunch of different police officers, but it reads, "Behind the shield and the blue beats a heart that pumps the same blood as you and me, lungs that breathe the same air as you and me, because they are lives that have issues just like you and me. They put their precious lives on the line day in, day out. We must not allow them to negatively stereotype." I'm sorry, it says there are some very disparaging issues that must be addressed, but we must not allow them to negatively stereotype the overwhelming majority of good police out there. Hashtag Shad backs the blue. What made you want to do that? Like that's a powerful message and an important message right now.
Yeah, because it is of what we're dealing with right now. Obviously, I did, and I capitalized must. There's some issues that must be addressed. But I don't ever want to get to the point, I'm stereotyped a lot. I'm black. I'm stereotyped. There's stereotypes of being white, black, every single race.
Right.
And, I don't ever want to get to the point where I know some police officers that do a great job. I don't want those men and women stereotyped.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because you've dealt with it.
I've dealt with it. I deal with it now.
Right.
So one, let's not do that. Let's address what's seriously the issue. Those on both parties need to understand that they play a role in everybody's opinions, whether you're against or for. And that's something too. Just because you're pro something doesn't mean you're anti the other, and that's a big part of it. But just now, I there's nothing special about me. I'm just in a special position. So anytime I get to unmask myself and be a magnifying glass towards things I believe are important, I'm going to take advantage of that. And, I anger just like anybody else. But trying to find a way to find common ground and get where we want to actually be, it takes somebody to be prideless.
That's awesome. Rashad Jennings, Giants running back. That's some very real stuff. Now we can talk about the fun make-believe stuff almost. All right, so I got to know, what is going through your mind while you're watching Odell and Josh Norman just go at each other during that game? You're in that game. You played great. I think you had like 130 yards. You had a touchdown. You were awesome in that game. What are you even aware of what's going on the periphery between your teammate and Josh Norman?
Not really. I'm so dialed in, and everybody is. We dialed in, and I'm trying to protect Eli. I'm trying to fight for extra yardages, and then you catch the tail end of everything. So as I look up and I see, Odell scrapping, I'm like, here we go again. I do know that people try to let it be known, hey, Odell, you're not going to do this on me today. Odell's a great player. He plays the game a certain way. He likes to have fun. So people want to stop that. And so usually when I look up, it's usually somebody doing some extracurricular stuff to Odell after the play. So that's what I see. Assumptions, same old, go back to the play. But after a while, like, it was consistent enough to the point where it's like, hey, man, everything all right? Like, we good? But no, man, I mean, you so keyed into accomplishing your job, you cannot pay attention to somebody else and what they're doing. 24/7.
Did something click for you the final 4 games of the year? Last year, you had 431 yards and 1 touchdown in the first 12 games. You had 432 yards and 2 touchdowns in the last 4 games. Circumstances, something clicked, something changed, or it just happened?
I was allowed the opportunity to have consistency. You know, I was able to come back to the sideline, speak to the offensive lineman. This is what I see. This is what I feel, and get an opportunity to go back out there and do it again. Just being consistent. I mean, we had a 4-back running rotation until the last 4 games, and I had an opportunity just to be consistent with the offensive line and pound.
What do players around the league, and we're talking with Rashad Jennings for another minute here, what do players around the league think about the whole Tom Brady's going to miss 4 games thing?
I know about 53 players probably upset. Yeah, 52.
Rest of the league doesn't matter. That doesn't mind that much.
But seriously, on a serious note, I mean, what the argument was for was not allowing Roger Goodell to have that much authority. There needs to be some type of regulation. Not, and I don't think he's doing this, but I mean, just the best way for me to say it is not to emotionally strike certain people. Oh, you get 6 games, you get 8 games, you get 2, and whatever.
Have some uniformity.
That's what it's all about.
Right. Rashad Jennings, Giants running back. I could sit and talk to you forever. We're way late. I think because it's pro football and there's a lot of anonymity, and because you were not a super high draft pick and there was a multi running back thing, I think a lot of people didn't know that much about you and your story. I do not think you could have possibly presented yourself any better than you did these last 15 minutes. This was an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate how open you were. I really appreciate the conversation.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on.